So yeah, it's tough to compete with Fallout and Doom. We got that trailer also at the Bethesda press conference to kick off E3, and I enjoyed it. I'm excited about Dishonored. I like the first one. I'm looking forward to playing the second one. I thought that my first impulse was that it was a nice twist on the first Dishonored trailer, which followed the same thing. We were Corvo Otano. We saw him in prison. We saw him get his powers from Dowd and then put the mask on. The mask was definitely shown very heavily. It was like a very focal point of the first trailer, and then he runs out and finds a guy and goes to kill him, and the guy, you think he's going to get away, but then Corvo, because he's awesome at magic, sneaks in, kills the guy, manages to escape. And this was kind of an interesting play on that. They kind of tried to take all the aspects of the first Dishonored trailer, and I can go beat by beat what those are and just up the ante of everything. But I just thought it was kind of cool. And then throughout the week, just people kept bringing up Dishonored. They really, really liked this trailer. And, I could see, one negativity is, we're at the Bethesda press conference. We're seeing tons of gameplay of Doom. We're seeing tons of gameplay of Fallout, and we're just getting the CG trailer for Dishonored. So, I thought one thing that people would be frustrated about is like, okay, I'll get excited about this game when I actually see what it looks like. Because it's going to be Dishonored 1 looked good. It wasn't necessarily like bleeding edge graphics, because they definitely picked a style that would work, make the gameplay a little more fluid. And,
yeah, I mean, and that's something I kind of like. They have the dimensions of the first Dishonored game, but it makes me
their faces.
Yeah, but I feel like they've kind of lost that sort of otherworldly kind of painterly little feel to it. So I don't know if that's just for the sake of the trailer, or if they are taking a slightly different change in art direction for one reason or another. I do think it's interesting that even though it is a CG trailer, they do seem to show a lot of gameplay hints here in terms of, how she blinks seems to be slightly different. The wasps seem to be significant. That seems to be something you can probably use in combat. And then this weird, crazy, giant smoky beast at the end that you can transform into.
And I like when she turns into the smoky beast, it is from a first-person perspective, so we don't see what this thing looks like. We all of a sudden we become this threat to this guy, and we kind of fear for this poor man. We don't know. We don't really know what this guy did. They don't tell us, which is interesting, because like a Hitman trailer or something would really set that up. Or like a crime drama or something where they're like, this guy's real bad, you gotta go get him. And like, we don't know. Maybe this guy isn't, maybe she's worse than him, who knows? Because they had two different endings to the first Dishonored. You could be, a good guy or a bad guy, and your decisions would ultimately influence this character, and she would change based on your actions. If you were mean, she would kind of start to get aggressive, and or you could, turn the story in that opposite direction. So how did this turn out? What ending did they pick?
And in that first game, there's no indication of what her smoke monster form would be?
No, I don't remember smoke monsters.
I don't know that she would have any of that in the first game, did she?
No, there was no hint that she had powers.
Yeah. So here's a funny thing.
And Corvo didn't have powers. He was given those by someone else. So this is Dowd basically choosing
it's
her.
called the Outsider, is that right?
And I believe it's the same voice actor for Dowd. That sounds familiar.
Brandon, you ranked the BioShock trailer as the best game, greatest trailer of all time.
Yes.
I think that first-person CG trailers are scummy.
Okay.
I think it's scummy to represent gameplay in this first person with CG. I like CG trailers, but to do a CG trailer with first person sort of indicates like, hey, this is the kind of game you're going to be playing. It's like, hey, no way.
I think it's super scummy if the whole trailer is one shot. If the whole thing is from a first-person perspective, then it's really suggesting gameplay, because it's like someone played that. Whereas like every now and then you just get a perspective on her. It pays to like actually be from her perspective, looking down at that staircase, and like you get the vibe of what it actually looks like physically to like move that fast, and like how it what it would look like when she was targeting, or like zooming into the room and shooting her crossbow.
But it won't look like that.
It won't be.
No matter what, it will look worse, and that's what's so crazy to me. Do you know what I mean? Like, okay, the version of the game we're gonna get will look worse than this. When we see a transforming room finally in the game, it's gonna look worse than this one in the trailer.
The transforming room, I have a problem with that.
I love transforming rooms.
I don't
secrets.
It just didn't feel like it had a real reason. Like it was just like, this room transforms because that's cool. Like that's.
Well, she went in. She opened the door and came in. So it's like she basically triggered. The guy has it set that like when I walk in, I want it to switch to what my real room looks like. And maybe she just triggered that when she came in. So some kind of like security measure. I like the tease at the these little like museum pieces, these little like collection drawers pop up.
In the glass.
You can see all these items he has in the glass, and you only get to see them for like half a second, and then you later see these robots that come in with the blades, and so you think like, oh, he must be a tinker or some kind. So maybe these are inventions that he's built. She obviously has her cool little outfit. Who the hell is this guy? Why is she so pissed? Why does she want to take him out? Is this something she wants to do? Is this the revenge that she wants, or is this just the first step to that? Is this somebody that Dowd knows, that Dowd cares about? How does he factor into it?
I think he might be the Duke. I noticed just now I didn't play the first one, but it says death to the Duke, and these robots are holding the people that are executed against the wall, so maybe he's the Duke.
In the first game, when she confronts the guy that she wants to kill, she does the slow-mo thing. It takes the 2 guards out in front of her, or Corvo does, which is a couple simple shots. And in this one, it's like almost the same exact shot, but she like throws a grenade out and then shoots those. Obviously, these you get the vibe in the first Dishonored trailer that it's just like, ha ha ha, you stupid guards, I'm Corvo, and so like you kind of feel bad for these guys, just clearly outmanned, clearly not prepared for his powers. Whereas she's kind of met her match, she manages to get the drop on both of these robots, but they do seem like a threat. She does have to do a little more dodging, which again is perhaps evocative of what the gameplay is, and like how those moves work. I like that he says, if you kill me, you'll become what we said you were. You'll become like one of us. So I wonder, is he an assassin too? Is the area that she's in? Is this where the assassins hang out?
Does
is this
Chat know who
like
this guy
some
is?
other version?
I kind of feel like we might know who this guy is.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah.
And also the teases of the mask.
Yeah.
Dowd picks it up at the end and looks at it. We don't know what happened to Corvo, kind of like how the introduction to Gears, we don't know what happened to Marcus Phoenix, or the Halo 5 Guardians, more focusing on Locke than focusing on Chief, because we don't know what he's up to.
What do we think of the VO in the beginning of this?
Little canned. It's a little forceful.
Yeah.
It's the key thing with VO that always bothers me is it just like if you actually believe that this is a conversation that took place. And so like a lot of times if you hear random lines and you kind of wonder like where that is taken in context, and the way this was written was like very much I want you to understand what he's saying. And so it's like it doesn't seem like a conversation. The worst in-game VO that I've seen in a long time was the first Tomb Raider trailer where she's talking to her like therapist. And then she like walks out into the tomb at the end, and she's like, "We become what we want to be." And it's like, were you just thinking about what your like therapist said when you're in this tomb? Like, what? It was just there was no context set up at all for like how this conversation actually took place. And so when there's no context for it, then it kind of seems silly and forceful and not like a natural piece of dialogue.
I feel like this narrator is talking about 3 different things that some writer thought sounded cool.
But it is, I believe it is the voice actor of Dowd, and and he is speaking in a way that he did speak to Corvo. Like I think in the first game, like it was understood that other people couldn't see him or other people couldn't hear him. Maybe he wasn't even real, and maybe it was a figment of your imagination. They definitely played on that, and so at least it's not completely out of left field in that regard. And again, I just like, I know the transforming room is weird, but I just like how it just plays on your expectations. But somebody in the room said, "Whoa," when that happened during the Bethesda press conference. It was just kind of like,
yeah. No, that's the cool part. I love that.
I like that she just says, "Screw this robot," and just leaves it and goes running after the guy.
Yeah.
And I like that option of, she seems smart, she seems capable, but at the same time, she's has to perform well to pull this off. It's a successful play in the first game. I'm not going to get it up in the 9s, but I would score it higher than the Dark Souls 1. I will give this an 8.6.
Cool. I'll give it a 7.6. So there's some things I love. You know what the thing I love the most is actually her expression where she stares at him. So they're down in the hallway, and he gives an expression like, "Oh, my robot's gonna kill you." She blows it up, looks up, and then that face of hatred she makes. That's just so good. That's straight up good animation. My beef with this is the story it tells. She walks into this guy's house, transforming house, and he says, "I knew you were gonna come here, Emily." And then like he had no good plan. Then he's like sometimes like surprised that she wants to kill him suddenly, just like, "Oh, my robots didn't work." Like, come on, man. Did you have a plan or not? Like, it's just kind of a stupid, like, little ride that we're on. And of course, I'm just butthurt at CG first-person trailers, so I think that's minus points there. But yeah, the reason why it's that high, despite all those hatred things, is that this is a good trailer that communicates a lot of things about the game. Like, that's a good thing to do with a launch trailer. Not sorry, launch trailer, a reveal trailer.
Yeah, I think. Gives it like 8.4. Yeah. I like it. It doesn't blow my socks off or anything, but
Socks still on.
yeah, I mean, I think it says a lot about where her character's at. I think, it gives you a hint that, choosing how to deal with people, will have lasting effects. And it shows a lot of potential gameplay capabilities. So I think it works out pretty well on a lot of different fronts.
If we, yeah.
Oh, people want us to know that it's not Dowd at the end of the trailer. It's the Outsider.
The Outsider. Okay, I get those two guys confused. Oh, yeah, Dowd's the guy that we played at in the expansion. The Outsider's the one that gave you his powers. My apologies.
Great. Does not change the score of the trailer.
Correction on that. Thank you for chat.
Yep.
But yeah, there we go. 8.2 is the aggregate trailer score for the debut of Dishonored 2. Lots of great debuts at the show. Thank you, Mr. Bloodworth. Thank you, Mr. Bossman.
No problem.
See you in the next episode of Trailer Score.